All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we're going to talk about Marquez Valdes-Scantling, his comments on Aaron Rodgers, defending Aaron Rodgers, with people calling him a diva. So, one of the things he did say is he's one of the greatest teammates you'll ever find. He cares more about his teammates than the game of football. People think he's a diva, but that's furthest from the truth. So that is high praise from from Valdes-Scantling. And yeah, so basically, he's defending Rodgers over the perception of being a diva or self-centered, which many people say that. Many people say that. He highlights Rodgers' strong rapport with younger teammates during his brief tenure with the Jets. Valdes-Scantling attributes Rodgers' ability to build strong bonds to genuine care and advocacy for mental health, both on and off the field. Despite Rodgers' public persona, Valdes-Scantling asserts that Rodgers has taught him valuable lessons on and off the field, including mental health awareness. MVS also acknowledges the significant impact Rodgers has had on his career, citing his statistical success during their time together with the Packers. And Valdes-Scantling has played with two first-ballot Hall of Famers, with Aaron Rodgers first, and then with Patrick Mahomes, and now we'll see where he ends up. Apparently the Chargers have interest in him, from something I saw last night. But regardless of that, yeah, with Rodgers in the public eye, many people have opinions on him, that he's selfish, that he's a diva. And is that true? Kind of. But again, like I was saying about the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs story, and even the stuff with Micah Parsons as well, there's two sides to every story. You're going to have teammates that come out and say Aaron Rodgers is the greatest, one of the best teammates you could possibly have. And then you have guys like Greg Jennings, who has criticized Rodgers as well. And he came out and he talked about some stuff that happened while he was in Green Bay. So, yeah, you're going to have two sides conflicting each other. But I think, yeah, when you saw when Rodgers first got to the Jets, he was saying all the right things and, trying to, get to know his new teammates. And it just seemed like things were going well. Although then you hear once he got hurt and Zach Wilson was trying to communicate with him, he wasn't getting through to him. So then you also hear about that. So, like I said, two sides to every story. But I think for MVS, his relationship with Rodgers, they seem to have a good relationship. And Rodgers seemed to really, be there for him and teach him a lot, again, about mental health. And mental health is a serious thing. And, Rodgers was there, somebody to, again, be there for MVS. And like MVS said, he praises him for, being there for him. And, yeah, that's being a good teammate. But then, of course, like I said, you got people out there that just do not feel the same way with Rodgers. And, yeah, with Aaron Rodgers, he makes news. He makes news on and off the football field. Because, again, this offseason, we heard some things that, maybe he was a possible candidate for vice president, to be a vice president pick. And I heard that coming home on the radio, and I was laughing because I just could not believe that was a thing. And just the scenarios of if he got sworn into office, and the Jets were in the AFC Championship game, would he be able to play? The whole thing was just so funny. Now, he is not going to be running for vice president, but it just that whole thing was just so funny. But now with that out of the way, you can focus on football. And Rodgers did come out and say that he's trying to play, hopefully, if he stays healthy, for 4 more years. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to do that, especially when you're coming off of a significant injury like he did with the Achilles, and at his advanced age of 40. Tom Brady was able to do it. But Tom Brady really never got hurt. Tom Brady tore his ACL in 2008, but that was from someone driving themselves into his leg. But other than that, yeah, Brady had a finger injury one year. I think it was 2017? Didn't he like cut his finger? I don't remember. He cut his finger on like someone's helmet. Yeah, I mean, he's had a couple of nagging injuries throughout the year, but as everybody does. But he was still able to play. But he really never suffered any significant injuries after what happened in 2008. With Rodgers, broken collarbones and, again, now this injury. He's had some bad injuries. But this one happens when he's 39, 40 years old. And how is he going to bounce back from it? Now, like I said, I'm trying to be optimistic about the Jets. I'm not a Jet fan. But I want to see Aaron Rodgers go out there and play well, at least for one more year. I don't want him to go out like that. But with this topic here, yeah, I mean, he goes on the McAfee show, he goes on all these different podcasts, and, a lot of the things that he's said in the past, it's just people have had enough of him. Because it's all just drama. And, yeah, the Jets were taking a huge gamble trading for him. Because you're bringing a lot of that drama in Green Bay. Now you're kind of bringing that to your organization. And, yeah, it hasn't been great. In the beginning it was great, but then once he got hurt, it's just, things have just kind of spiraled out of control. And they're looking to have a bounce-back season. And I like the moves that they've made this offseason. I think they're impactful moves. Bringing in Tyron Smith, who's still a good left tackle. You're hoping Mike Williams, once he recovers fully from his ACL injury, that he's going to be a productive receiver for you. You just traded for Hassan Reddick. The Jets, on paper, right now, you could make the case they are the best team in their division. Because you look at what the Dolphins and the Bills have done this offseason, the subtractions they've had to make. The Jets right now, they are in prime position to take this division. And if Aaron Rodgers is healthy and this offensive line gives him protection, I think the Jets are going to have a good year. But it could all end in an instant. Because we saw Breece Hall take that handoff and go for 20-something yards, and you thought, wow, look at the Jets. And then a few plays later, Rodgers goes down, and there went the Jets. Despite winning that game. But even after winning that game, you were just like, you know what, any win we'll take, but they finished 7-10 again, and now we'll see what happens in 2024. Zach Wilson is still on this team, so he could see the field again. Hopefully not, because Jet fans will lose their minds if he is on the field again. But yeah, I mean, there's a look for me personally with Aaron Rodgers. Like I could see the stuff about him being a diva and being self-centered. Because, sometimes, like even back with the Packers, you see him shouting at receivers. And I know some people say, oh, Tom Brady would never do that. Tom Brady did do that. Look at Patrick Mahomes and what happened with him after Kadarius Toney lined up off sides. It looked like he wanted to fight the ref. And then how he was with Josh Allen. At the end, they picked up the audio on that complaining to Josh Allen about the call. A lot of quarterbacks are like that. I mean, you see Peyton Manning, him yelling at Jeff Saturday. I mean, it's just that, at least that one clip of him yelling at Jeff Saturday. You know what I'm talking about, back when they were with the Colts. I mean, I never really saw Eli Manning yell at anybody, but Eli was a different personality. But, you know, you also saw Rodgers yelling at Matt LaFleur. You've seen that. But, I mean, well, I think there's a video of Tom Brady and I think Bill O'Brien getting into an argument. I think that was back against Washington, like, you know, the early 2010s. It's just a lot of players are like that. Now, again, if you want to talk about some of the stuff that Aaron Rodgers has said off the field regarding certain things, that's a whole different thing, which we're not going to get into. That's for a different kind of show. But, which I think that's where all this comes from. But I remember, though, when Rodgers first started doing the McAfee stuff, people were loving it. Because for a long time, a lot of people didn't like Aaron Rodgers. Now, again, this is before, like, now. I think, again, whole different thing. But when Rodgers first started making appearances on the McAfee show, you look at a lot of the comments on the interviews, at least on YouTube, and people are like, wow, I never realized Rodgers was like this. I like him even more now that he's making these appearances. Because you only see what the media, like, well, Pat McAfee is the media, but a lot of, you look at some things, and people paint this bad image of Rodgers. But then he goes on the McAfee show, and you actually hear, you know, what he's saying. Again, him just talking football. And you're like, wow, like, this is actually interesting. And people are saying that they liked Rodgers more. But things started to get a little wacky at times. So that's where things then kind of changed. And, yeah, it's just... But you know what? The reason why you hear about Aaron Rodgers all the time is because he makes news, makes headlines. And that's what makes the world go round. So, and I get it. Some of the things he said, yeah, you might have a little bit of make a weird look and say, what he believes that? But again, that's a separate topic. So, at the end of the day, my focus with Rodgers is on football, and I'm hoping he goes out there and he has a really good 2024 season. And I hope he goes out on somewhat of a high note and not like how 2023 went. And that's regardless of some of the things he may say that you may not like, and him being self-centered, him being a diva, all that. Somebody I watched growing up, and I, when he retires, again, that's just going to be another member of that core of quarterbacks that we saw play for most of our lives. If you're, in your 20s like me, that is going to be gone, and it's going to be sad. So, again, I hope he goes out there and has a good year, and I hope for my friends that are Jet fans, family that are Jet fans, coworkers, I hope he does well for them. I hope this take 2 is the right take, and he has a solid year for the Jets. So, and like I said, with what MVS is saying, again, 2 sides to every story. You're going to have teammates that are going to come out and speak very highly of Rodgers, and then you're going to have former teammates that are come out and say, yeah, didn't really get along with them. So, but let me know what you guys think about the whole Aaron Rodgers stuff that we discussed. But yeah, with that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to tune into our other shows throughout the day. Hear what they have to say about some of the other stuff that went on, whether it's baseball and basketball with the NCAA tournaments and the NBA. We're getting to the NBA playoffs. We're getting close. I think they start, next week. So a lot happening. So make sure to tune into everybody else's shows. And yeah, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. We'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And with that being said, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.